Tonight on Joy News Prime, health experts warn of a possible third wave of COVID-19 infections in Ghana this month.
I do foresee a third wave happening in the next 2 weeks or by the end of this month.
Meanwhile, minority in parliament is calling for a bipartisan parliamentary probe into reports Ghana is buying COVID-19 vaccines from Russia at almost 100% the original price.
Minority group, we have to satisfy ourselves to get to know the truth of the matter, and so we will call for the agreement, and then we will, if we are not satisfied, we will call for an independent investigation into the matter.
Also in this bulletin, Supreme Court sets aside High Court order that indefinitely banned Fix the Country campaigners from embarking on a street protest. National Labour Commission directs senior staff in public universities to immediately call off strike and appear before it for a resolution. We have details as the University of Ghana announces it is falling on national service personnel, interns and class assistants, among others, to teach in its basic school, and a bit to deal with the impact of the strike. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. Joy News Prime comes to you live from our studios in Kokomlemle on your digital terrestrial TV, because we are free to air. We are on Go TV channel 144, on DSTV channel 421. We are your home of independence, fearless, credible and impactful journalism. Do stay tuned in. Many thanks for choosing us. Public health experts with the Kumasi Center for Collaborative Research, KCCR, is warning of a third wave of COVID-19 in the country in the next 2 weeks. Dr. John Amoesi, who leads the Global Health and Infectious Disease Research Group at KCCR and School of Public Health at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, explains there's been a minor surge in cases over the past 2 weeks in Africa, which usually will lead to an explosion. Dr. Amoesi says for Ghana, a lot will depend on how we handle the situation and how successful we get with the vaccination exercise, adding, we are currently sitting on a time bomb if things remain the way they are.
If you look at the COVID numbers in Africa, it is clear that over the past 2 weeks, there is a minor surge. Now, if you understand how COVID moves, there is always this minor surge and then an explosion. Every part of the world has experienced a third wave, and it starts just like this. We had our first, we had our second. What on earth makes us think that we cannot and will not have our third? It will interest you to know that about a week ago, I called some highly placed figures in this country and said to them that, look, from what I see from where I sit, and I happen to be privy to various pieces of data which are not in the public domain, not only in this country, but also in other parts of Africa. From what I see, I do foresee a third wave happening in the next 2 weeks or by the end of this month. All right. Now, a lot will depend on a number of factors, which is how much vaccination we can get done. There might be a little saving grace in there, which would be perhaps a proportion of people in Ghana who may have been exposed and so have antibodies to SARS-CoV-2. And this we really do not know. There are some conservative estimates based on work that we have done, that has been done, including work that my team has done, which I cannot put out right now, which suggests that, well, the numbers may be quite high. And so, you know, the vaccination numbers we need to reach to arrive at herd immunity might actually be much lower than we think, which would be very good. But again, all this is not yet being fully calculated and determined, and we're not pursuing all this as a clear agenda. Moreover, if we want vaccination to give us the best bang for the buck, then it needs to be done really, really quickly. We're doing our best there, but the vaccines are just not there. So it's just not going to happen very quickly. This is very obvious. So when you look at all these together and look at what's happening in Africa, what's happened elsewhere, it tells you that we are sitting on a time bomb.
Now let's get on to Zoom and speak with a virologist at the Kumasi Center for Collaborative Research and lecturer at the KNUST, Dr. Michael Owusu. Doc, from what you know, how serious should we take the warning of a possible third wave of COVID-19 in Ghana?
Yeah, good evening to you and good evening to all your viewers. So, in theory, once you have large susceptible populations in your country, and there is a potential that you could experience a third wave because many people are not immune. And therefore, when you have a virus coming to the system, there's a high chance that you could have that experience. But I've looked at the data that we get at our center for the past 2 months to 3 months. We seem to be doing something between the range of 5 to 10%, which seem to be stable as we speak now. There seem not to be any abnormal increase in these numbers for which you want to predict and say that this is what is going to happen. So it is a bit too early to really make a prediction of a possible increase in third wave as we speak now. But then in theory, this is very possible because a large number of people have not been vaccinated. Many people are still susceptible. Therefore, if you have new variants coming to the system, it's only a matter of time. And I think that many people are going to be affected.
So this is how he describes this, and he says that a lot will depend on how we as a country handle the situation, plus how successful we get with the vaccination exercise. Now, with concerns raised about the blatant disregard for the COVID-19 protocols, do you agree we are sitting on a time bomb?
Of course. I mean, if some couple of months now, you heard the airport reported that they have recorded some increase in cases, and for which government tried to step up some measures at the airport so that people don't import these infections into the system. And we're also very much aware that places like India have wild variants that are new to the population, which is causing huge third wave infections in their country. And the point is that you cannot have a foolproof mechanism and say that for your country, nothing will enter into the country. It doesn't work like that for virus. So if you have people accidentally enter through the port with some of these variants, and then you have contributory effects of large gatherings, large funeral gatherings where people don't observe the protocol, then it means that you will be providing a conducive environment for this virus to thrive, to infect, and to cause large community outbreak and transmission. So that is how the virus works. It works in a cycle. If you're able to behave and maintain your environment well, then of course you may limit spread or possibly halt transmission of infection. But then if you have even 1 or 2 people come into the system, and then these people are encouraged or mixed up with other people who are also susceptible, then of course you will expect it to happen. And we know what happened in December, last year, November, December, and also somewhere in January, February, March of 2020. And this is how it starts. It starts by people not doing what they're supposed to do, and people gathering in large numbers. And then in the course of that, when others carry wild variants, it just enters the system and begins to cause problems. So behavior is one of the tools that you want to use to manage this pandemic. And when that aspect breaks down and you have little to do, you may put in all your efforts, but then you cannot control this.
Do we have a new variant in Ghana?
So, of course, we have some variants which are variants of concern, which you already know. I mean, the UK variant, we know. Some, yes, about 60% of infections, we know about the South African one, which are already in the system. But what we don't know yet is the Indian variant, because once again, the sequencing capacity is very low. The number of samples sequenced is so low that you don't have wide coverage to tell whether it's in the system or not. So it's a probability. And this is why we cannot just lose guard. I mean, places like UK are sequencing large tens of thousands of samples within every week. So they can tell you when something enters the country. But because we have such a low capacity, we don't know. So sometimes you'll be overwhelmed and be caught unaware. And by the time you get there, it has already penetrated to the system and the whole community is already down. Which is why our best bet is to encourage people to do what is right, follow the protocol, adhere to all the norms, and ensure that we don't even allow this to come, because the capacity to detect and to manage these outbreaks is still not at the level where we can be so confident that we want to face this head on. So it's a bit dicey, and I think that we need to really handle this very well.
So it's even possible that we may have the Indian variant, but because of our sequencing nature, we may not be able to tell for now. How dangerous is the Indian variant?
Well, if you have studied scientific reports from India and also from UK, it has characteristics that look like the UK B117 variant. But then the Indian variant, once again, has high transmissibility, and it seems to cause severe infections and also high level of mortality. So the behavior of that one and the UK variant seem to be a bit at par, but it looks like even that one has more strength and high level of fitness than the UK variant. So, and because most of us are susceptible, most people have the UK variant, others have the South African variant. So most people have antibodies to this. But if your body is new to a strain that you don't know, and it comes into your system, you'll be taken down by the strain until many people are infected and people build immunity. So this is what Indians are currently facing, because you have a new type of virus ravaging through the country for which people are not immune to. So in Ghana, when we are naive to this virus, once we allow this to enter to the system, you can already imagine that we are likely to have some third waves, not due to just ordinary things we are doing, but then due to these variants that come into the system. So in the whole world, everybody is trying to put in as much effort as possible to prevent people from importing these new waves into the system. And we also need to behave well so that even if the people slip into the country, you don't allow these variants to thrive and to cause outbreaks and to cause large infections.
From the way our vaccination exercise is going, should we be worried?
Of course, not only Ghana, but many African countries should be worried. Once again, because we are doing something between 0.5 to 1%. The target is to hit about 20 million Ghanaians. And once you are not at that level, we cannot be fully assured. Countries like US have some states which have pronounced that people can go without masks because they have hit the target where they believe they have reached some herd immunity. So you can go out and do your normal work. But if you are in a system where you have about 80% of people who still are susceptible and only about 0.5 to 1% who have been vaccinated, even those vaccinated are still not free, because the 0.5% who are vaccinated will be under selective pressure from those who have not been vaccinated. So if they even joke, they can still be infected by the virus. So this is the balance. So your best bet is to be able to vaccinate as much as possible so that you can protect many people as possible. So it's not the best for us, but as I said, it's not in our hands. I believe government is doing its best to ensure we get the vaccines. But then once we don't control and manufacture these vaccines, it's a bit difficult. And we only have to hope that the government will be able to get these vaccines in place in time so that at least large number of people will be protected from getting these infections.
I'm grateful for your time. Dr. Michael Owusu is a virologist at KCCR and lecturer at KNUST. The minority in Parliament is, however, calling for a bipartisan parliamentary probe into reports Ghana is buying COVID-19 vaccines from Russia at almost 100% the original price. Norwegian newspaper VG is reporting that Ghana is buying Sputnik vaccines that cost $10 per dose at $19 per dose. The paper alleges one of the intermediaries negotiating the deal is wanted by Norwegian police for alleged financial crimes. Ranking member on Parliament's Health Committee, Kwabena Minta Akando, alleges some government officials are trying to profit from the COVID-19 pandemic. He says he will summon the health minister to Parliament over the revelation in the Norwegian press.
As a ranking member and as a minority group, we have to satisfy ourselves to get to know the truth of the matter. And so we will call for the agreement, and then we will, if we are not satisfied, we will call for an independent investigation into the matter, because the minister himself is complicit in this matter. So we will call for a bipartisan investigation into this matter. And this is a very serious issue if it turns out to be true. Very, very serious matter.
Why do you say it's a very serious matter?
It's a serious matter because it borders on the health of the people. It borders on a pandemic. And it breaches most of our rules and regulations in this country. You understand? So it's not a small issue at all.
Couldn't it be that it's going for the $19 million, well, the $19 per dose instead of the $10? Probably because of the unavailability of it on the international markets.
Well, what is important is that you need to come back to Parliament to inform us, for us to agree and approve. And what we have also picked is that from the source of Sputnik vaccine, we are not supposed to sell it more than $10 per dose. That is what we are picking. And so, Joseph, let's take our time and take it one after the other and then follow this matter to the very bottom of it.
To the extent that the search-sheet individual who was allegedly involved in the Ameri deal is part of this same process which is now blowing up, how worrying otherwise is that?
You begin to shiver when you hear such names because of their records. And if you read the story even indicates that there are people who are even wanted. I don't know if you have taken your time to read the story. So there are people who are even wanted by the police in Norway.
Minta Kandor is ranking member on Parliament's Health Committee, away from COVID-19 and its impact. 4 years after the Bank of Ghana and Securities Exchange Commission closed down more than 400 institutions, no one has been convicted for causing the collapse. Also, 1.7 billion Ghana cedis out of the total of 27 billion Ghana cedis in assets have been recovered from these shareholders. Former workers of the now defunct institutions who still struggle to make ends meet feel they are being punished for their previous employers' wrongdoing. On Total Recall, Joy News' Daniel Dazi takes a look at the cleanup and its impact.
The morning of the 14th of August, 2017 was a restful day for Ikea, a 36-year-old single mother who had been working in the banking industry for 10 years.
I was on leave, actually, so I was home, listening to the morning news and breakfast shows as usual. And then I overheard it. I heard it over the radio that Capital Bank and UT Bank had been taken over by GCB.
And some selected assets of UT Bank and Capital Bank. The premises of UT Bank and Capital Bank will be rebranded as branches of GCB Bank. And all customers can continue to do normal business at these branches. Their continuous operation could have jeopardized not only their depositors' funds, but also posed a threat to the financial system.
The announcement triggered a series of events which changed her reality and that of her 6-year-old daughter permanently.
We went to the office in the morning and we were handed over our letters. So I went to the Uber office. It was some way, because I met all men in queue. You know, because I'm a woman, I'm unable to do the peak hours. What I get from doing Uber is daily upkeep. Food, utilities for just myself and my daughter. Yes, so for that one, Uber is able to do for me. But when it comes to major maintenance on even the car, where I had to purchase like a car battery for like 400 Ghana cedis, and it's a challenge, and even my rent.
Ikea is one of the over 5,000 workers in 7 banks who lost their jobs as a result of the financial sector cleanup. Eventually, over 400 financial institutions closed their doors over the next 3 years, leaving many lives and livelihoods in peril. Another face behind these numbers is Jemima Mensah, who recently started a catering business.
And it's still not easy because this money in this shop is not for spending. It's for turning around. We turn things around here. So you don't get any money from it to solve your problems. So things are still hard. But since we have this, and it means there is still hope to do something. So now the washing has stopped. I've graduated from washing to catering.
Though Ikea and Jemima do not agree with the actions taken by the Bank of Ghana, consultant Nana Otio-Champon explains Dr. Addison and his team took the best possible course of action.
The justification, partly, some were weak in terms of capital, in terms of corporate governance, and in many other areas like risk management. So allowing them to stay on was one option, but not the preferred option, because sometimes a system will be so broken that your only alternative is, to get rid of it and start afresh.
He is, however, disappointed that little progress has been made in recovering the lost funds from the shareholders of these institutions.
Some 27 billion of assets have been identified by the receiver. We've been told that so far 1.7 billion has been recovered. Why? Partly because the auditors again are turning around to tell us that the assets were overvalued.
On phone this evening is Alhasan Dani, who is former president of the Ghana Association of Bankers and former MD of Stanbic Bank. I'm grateful for your time, Mr. Dani. You stated repeatedly that the closure of the banks was necessary at the time of the cleanup. Do you still stand by that position?
Yes, I do still stand by that. It was a toxic situation that needed to be contained so that the industry could regain its strength and confidence and trust.
Now, the prosecution seemed to focus on former shareholders and customers, including some staff and Bank of Ghana officials. Who do you think is most responsible for this?
Well, look, I think the responsibility for a sound management of a bank, number one, rests with the board of directors, executive management, and the staff. So in order of responsibility, it's the board of directors who have overall responsibility and of course, delegated to the executive management of the bank. And of course, at the end of the day, all the staff of the bank have responsibility to superintend the assets and trust of their customers. So this is the order of priority I would see in terms of responsibility.
And having said that, are you satisfied with the pace of prosecution and the recouping of funds?
I honestly haven't followed the prosecution. I think for me, essential thing would have been to really get to the bottom of the quality of those assets and how they were created so that we first can recoup those assets. And then if, for example, you found out that monies went out and no assets were acquired, then you can just be talking prosecution. But it has to go hand in hand. Determine the quality of the assets, identify all the assets that were formed and the quality thereof, and then try to recover that. And of course, the impropriety can then be punished. If we just only focus on the impropriety without tracing the assets, then we are not really dealing the problem.
But we understand the auditors have changed the value of the assets to be recouped, which would ultimately change the amount of money to be realized from the cleanup. What do you make of this?
I'm not sure auditors change anything. What auditors do is that they discover. They discover value of assets. So if a bank held an asset and called it 100 million, and then another auditor comes and discovers the asset at point of valuation is 80 million, the auditor didn't change it. They only discovered the value. So that's what I'm saying. Trace the value creation process and make sure that whatever we thought the banks were sitting on were the right numbers and that we're recovering the right thing. But putting the auditors in was to discover the true value of those assets.
Ms. Dani, in as much as the cleanup you say was necessary for the financial sector, many workers and customers are still yet to recover from the impact of the cleanup. Would you say the system treated them fairly? I mean, and how do you want them to recover from this shock?
Look, I think this comes to just everybody understanding the modern economy of running company, and that everybody has responsibility ensuring the soundness of the institutions that employ them and in which they put their invested funds. So for me, it's tough. It's unfortunate, that when an institution collapses, the first people hit would be the clients, because they were sold the promise and they took the promise and they've been let down. That's terrible. You shouldn't do that. The second would be, of course, the board and executive management who were superintending over the promise sold to clients. And for me, again, the front line, the face of the issue are the staff. How much did the staff superintend to make sure that the organizations that they was employing them and looking after them were properly run? And every institution has checks and balances that ensures that there is an alarm system, there is a whistleblower system, there is a process by which you can raise concerns so that things can be dealt with systemically. So if after things have dropped and we now tend to look at only maybe some segments of the stakeholders, I think we'll be missing the responsibility. For me, the great lesson in there is for every member of staff to understand that once I'm employed, I have responsibility to ensure that the organization that employs me is properly run. And if I see something, hear something which is untoward, I will report it. And that for me should be the biggest lesson.
So how strong is the sector now, 4 years after the cleanup?
Well, I mean, I follow what the Bank of Ghana reports in terms of the MPC reports and their reports. And I think if you look at the just ended year and you look at the published numbers, the banks are showing very strong balance sheets, very strong income statement, very strong deposit, and most of the the ratios for measurement of a good bank, your capital adequacy ratio, like liquidity ratios, profitability ratios, all look great. So it will look like, yes, there's been a good turnaround, and the industry from the published numbers that I've seen is looking really good.
I'm grateful for your time. Alhasan Dani is former president of the Ghana Association of Bankers and also former MD of Stanbic Bank. For the first and 23 years old Linda Ejay sustained various degrees of burns after her husband allegedly poured hot water on her. Linda has abandoned the hospital for local treatment due to her inability to pay medical bills. Let's go to the community of Odumase Basari Akura in the Oti region for this report, read to you by Latif Idris.
The 23-year-old woman, Linda Ejay, sustained various degrees of injuries after her husband allegedly threw hot water on her. Unfortunately, she's had to leave the Nkwanto South Municipal Government Hospital where she was receiving treatment because her family says it can no longer afford the bills. The family says it has already borrowed an amount of 1,500 cedis which has to be paid with interest. The suspect in this case, Naru Yakubu, is still at large. Linda Ejay, who is battling pains, appeals to the general public for support to enable her undergo proper treatment and also pay the hospital bills she owes.
Because he knows there's no family relation to protect my interest, he's been maltreating me. I appeal to the general public to help me take care of this condition.
The younger brother of the victim, Nuruddin Ejay, has appealed to the police to speed up investigations and arrest the suspect involved.
This isn't the first time. I remember the last time I visited my sister. Not only had she been physically assaulted, he had also failed to provide her with food. We appeal to the police to fast-track the investigation process.
He's also appealed to the public for financial support.
Still to come in this bulletin, Supreme Court sets aside High Court order that indefinitely barred Fix the Country campaigners from embarking on a street protest. We'll bring you business plus sports shortly with Charles Aite and Hans Menza.
It's time for business. I'm Charles Aite. Shareholders of defunct First Fund, then operated by the First Bank Financial Services, now TTL Capital, have issued a 2-week ultimatum to their new fund managers to pay their locked-up funds or face their wrath. According to the spokesperson, Michael Kobla, a total of 170 million cedis of about 24,000 investors have been locked up for the past 2 years. There is more in this report.
Addressing the media at a press briefing, The shareholders called on the Securities and Exchange Commission to, as a matter of urgency, intervene and retrieve their funds. According to the spokesperson Michael Kwabla, a total of 170 million cedis of about 24,000 investors have been locked up for the past 2 years.
Basically, we are here to draw the awareness of the board of First Fund that we need our money, locked up money for 2 years. We need our money. They should operationalize the fund. We'll give them 2 weeks ultimatum to operationalize the fund and let us have our money. We are not even looking for 100%. We are looking at 60% of our money. Then they should give us a plan, a working plan, that the remaining 40% can be paid. Because the money that are sitting in the bank, every day it is accruing interest, and TTL Capital is charging 0.5% of that interest. So the more the money sits at the bank, it is our loss and their gain.
Now, some of the aggrieved investors whose funds have been locked up spoke to Joy Business.
It's about 20,000, and it was more than 20,000, but the value that they gave us was 0.75 then. But when these people took up, now they said the value has reduced to 0.72. So it means the money that you thought you have there previously, it has also reduced. As a growing nominee, today they will tell us this, tomorrow they will tell us this. Give us our money to IASM.
So we are pleading to the Ministry of Finance, the SEC, Reverend Ogba Amitete, that they should all come to our aid. We need our monies. It's been 2 years. 2 years. Our funds have been reduced. In fact, I had over 90,000 Ghana cedis in my investment as of 1st of October 2019. Then on the 7th of November 2019, the First Bank's license was revoked. Now, when we requested a statement from TTL, and when they sent it, my investment has reduced over 4,000 Ghana cedis. Imagine somebody who has 1 million Ghana cedis in the investment, how much it will be reduced. Imagine what someone, let's say a pensioner who has about 150 of all his pension money in there, how much will be reduced? I hope you understand. So this is the magnitude of crimes that is happening in TTL and then the First Fund Board. So we need government to come in and come to our aid.
This is the time that government should step into these fund management companies and make sure that they are operating according to the law. As we speak, they have received over 30% of the fund. When will it take for them to pay us? If you have received 30%, say, look, this is what we have. Take it, whilst we work on receiving the others. Up to now, nothing. And our monies keep on reducing. Even with them, from 2 years, it keep on reducing. By the time you realize we don't have anything in our fund. So we want the government SEC to come in and make sure that the board, those who invested beyond their powers into the commercial papers, they are called to book. They should not be working scot-free, whilst the ordinary Ghanaian suffers.
Well, we're yet to receive a correspondent from SEC as well as management of TTL. When we do, we shall give you the updates. But away from that, EcoBank Ghana, as part of measures to save costs on energy, has begun switching to renewable energy. The bank has installed a full solar system in 32 of its operating branches across the country. The managing director of the bank, Dan Saki, assured shareholders that this is a cost-saving measure to enhance the bank's sustainability and clean energy program.
Being environmentally conscious, the bank had, over the past 5 years, pursued a deliberate strategy of improving the contribution of solar to our energy consumption mix. We do have 65 branches currently, and I can confirm that as we speak, 32 of these branches are running on solar. We have a joint plan to install solar on our branches, in our branches, to make sure that during the day we can be powered fully by solar, and if there is a shortfall, it can be met from the normal grid. So we have a hybrid situation where we are running on both solar and electricity energy in the branches. What is interesting is that we've achieved this without actually putting out any financial outlay, in the sense that we have engaged stakeholders who then walk into our branch, selected branches, install solar, and we have done the calculation such that we are basically spending the exact amount we were spending on electricity energy. Savings from the solar energy results in lower charges. And the savings are used to pay for the solar energy installations. So we expect that over 5 years, each of these solar energy installations will be fully amortized. And the actual savings would now be coming in after year 6. So
that's how we end business. Sports up next. To stay.
Thank you for staying with us on Joy News Prime. Gary Al Smith here with the sport. And after the under-23 team lost 4-0 this morning to Japan to bring the aggregate score to 10-0. Remember that they lost 6-0 a couple of days ago. It's time for the Black Stars to redeem the country's image. As we speak, the national team are playing Morocco in Rabat in an international friendly. This was the starting 11 in the game that started just about 46 minutes ago. Let's look at the starting 11. Razak Abalora of Asante Kotoko, Andy Adam, Gideon Mensah, Nicolas Opoku, Daniel Amate, Baba Idrisu, Emmanuel Omote, Joe Fameye, Samuel Owusu, Mohamed Kudus, and Jordan Ayew. The score, as we speak, is 0-0. So the HC Talent Group, in partnership with the Kumasi Hive and Startup Discovery School, has organized the first edition of the Innovation Hackathon. The event was dubbed The Environment, the Entrepreneur. We are all involved, and it took place in Kumasi over the weekend. Abdul Muming and Gideon Mensah, both national team players who played their football in Portugal, invested in the event, and there's more in this report.
Abdul Muming and Gideon Mensah recently invested in the first edition of the Innovation Hackathon, which took place in Kumasi. The event brought together 18 different startup ideas around the areas of agri-tech, climate action, and renewable energy. Speaking on behalf of both players, Muming explained why his team at AC Talent Group embarked on this project.
Well, myself and then Gideon Mensah is unfortunate he can't be here, which is also a good thing because he's with the national team. And then Eric, we thought about doing something that is like more sustainable. And then if we look into the neighborhoods that we come from, there are like a lot of entrepreneurs with great ideas that can help, let's say, the UN sustainable goals, but they are lacking the help financially and educationally. So we thought about something that could help myself and these names that I mentioned and the group. And my team thought about this project, and we think it's something that can help, you know, in the long run. So that's why we do this.
At the end of the day-long competition, 3 businesses came out top and were handed starting capital. Solar Afrique placed third and received $250, whilst Wellfed came in second, taking home $500. Nastec Power Solutions finished first with $1,000. Founder of Nastec, Samuel Asare, expressed his excitement after winning the ultimate prize.
As I said, I was a bit surprised. I didn't actually anticipate what's going to happen because we were all in doubt as to how things are going to go. After pitching, you realize the judges punching holes in whatever you say, and I mean, giving you some positive feedbacks. You realize maybe there are things you really need to work on, and I was very, very not sure what's going to happen, but at the end of it, I think I turned up on fair as the first person, and I'm really, very happy right now.
Maurice Kashinko, who's the managing director of Kumasi Hive, encouraged more footballers to invest in such sustainable projects.
Not many footballers or people in the entertainment industry are interested in tech and innovation, and I think this is a very huge statement on his part that, you know, people who are even in the sports and entertainment business can leave a mark in tech and innovation in Africa.
The Innovation Hackathon seeks to continue to encourage the spirit of entrepreneurship in young people in the Kumasi ecosystem, whilst providing them with tools to help them grow.
And that's the sport for now. It's halftime in the game between Morocco and the Black Stars, still 0-0.
And it's time now for Showbiz. Becky is here with the very latest. Hello.
Hello to you, Aisha.
BB. Do you know what BB means?
No.
Beautiful Becky.
Oh, BB Square.
How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. Well, I spent the afternoon at Usher Fort. It's been 7 years since they closed the place to the public.
Yep.
Today, it has been reopened.
Okay.
And so here is a beautiful report by me.
The newly reopened Usher Fort Slavery Museum is one of its kind
in the whole of Accra.
Yes, you heard right. The Ashafor Slavery Museum is officially opened to the public. As part of efforts of making Ghana the hub of tourism in Africa, various projects have been put in place, and reopening of a fort that has so much history is a step in the right direction.
It also has tourism implications for this country. We are engaged in tourism. We are aspiring to be a tourism destination. So you put together your elements, you put together your infrastructure to make them world class so they will attract people to come over. So apart from the history, apart from the heritage, we're also talking about economics, and that is what it is.
According to Mr. Abdulrahman Diallo, a representative of UNESCO, Ghana has very unique sports with amazing history that must be properly promoted.
This is all about the importance also of the museum, Esher Fort Museum, the slavery one, which will be a place where you, students, everyone, citizen, they can come during 1 hour just trying to go through the story, reminding that at this place 4 centuries before that what happened.
But what does the reopening of Asher Fort Slavery Museum mean to the Dutch? Here is Ambassador of the Netherlands, His Excellency Ron Stricker.
If we stand here now, we can only abhor what has happened. We can only look at it with repentance and with regrets through that period, because we are very much aware of the fact that with the slave trade and slavery, so much pain and misery and also indignity, as a matter of fact, were inflicted on Africans, and in particular in displaced and on West Africans. And we should not forget that, and we should commemorate that also. We think about it to build a better future.
Some patrons spoke to Joy News.
It's better late than never. It's always important for communities which have all these forts and castles in their area to know what exactly went in there. There are many forts and castles dotted along the coast of Ghana, but the communities have no relationship with it. They do not even know what happened. And probably because some of them are in terrible state of disrepair. So this is a great initiative.
Love your history? Looking for a perfect site here in the capital? Here is one.
This is good for tourism.
Yeah.
We must visit there.
And I'm very, very excited about it. To be like one of the first people to have,
to be there. For the reopening.
Yeah, so I'll take you.
Take me along.
But let's talk about, so there have been the identity, Ghanaian musicians.
Identity debate.
I
think it was started by Shatawale, right?
So we caught up with Pat Thomas and asked him whether, is it too late to get to the global stage with the high life genre? He said it's not too late.
Yeah, it should be, but we have to work hard towards that. This afternoon I was hearing some news on the radio about high life and how it's not going to abroad or something like that. But we still have to work it out. We have to work hard to make it happen.
On a global front, Pat Thomas is a name that resounds and resonates with a lot of people. But what we are having now, what we have as high life music now, does it resonate like when your era, when you used to do high life, when you used to sing, when you used to perform out there? What we have now, can it stand the test of time?
Well, we have generations, and every generation has its, movements and everything. I think now music is the way they are doing it is their generation, so they do it the way how they feel about it. Like my time, I did it in a way that we are still enjoying it, like you are saying. This is their time, and I think they also feeling that they are doing their best that they can.
And Pat Thomas is so right. It's not too late if you ask me.
It's not too late.
Thank you so much, Becky, for bringing us showbiz.
Anytime.
You owe me one, a tour to the Usher Fort.
Sure.
And that'll be it for showbiz. Welcome back to Joy News Prime to the rest of our stories. And for the first time in Ghana, doctors at Rich Hospital are gearing up to separate a set of identical male twins who were born conjoined at the head. The groundbreaking separation process is expected to last between 12 and 18 months, and the twins who were born 2 months ago are not expected to be discharged from the hospital before their second birthday. Super Morning Show host Kojo Yankton traveled to a small township on Nsawam Road to meet the family of the Bansa Siamese twins and to discover where they will be living after they are surgically separated.
We live in one room and we are also plenty in the room. We sleep half side and our things to are half side. When they give light off, the room gets hot.
A small 3-meter square room with one bed and no ceiling. This is the hot, cramped space in which Samuel Ado has lived with his wife Justine Bansa and 3 children for the past 17 years. Almost a year ago, they discovered that they were expecting another baby. The family was excited but worried about their living conditions. Imagine their shock on delivery day when a last-minute scan showed they were actually having twins.
I'm going to hospital, but they didn't tell me. I'll do a scan twice, but they didn't say that it is twins. So the day that I was born, them before the doctor said, oh, my stomach is too big, so I should go for another scan. The time that I went there, they said it is only one. And the doctor said, no, if it is one, I can't give birth, so they will do me CS. And I don't like CS, so I said no. If they have told me that if I didn't like CS, they will transfer me to Kolebu. And I tell them that, okay, if it is like that, I'll do it. And the doctor sent me back again. So I should go for another scan again. The time that I went the second one, before they said that they are twins.
But the biggest bombshell was still to come. When Samuel and Justine's 4th and 5th children were born, Siamese twins, conjoined at the head.
When first like that, I was thinking, did I make something wrong or did I commit any crime or something like that? But the doctors told me that it happened. So it's not like an old mother's or somebody who do that thing to me. It has happened.
Now, Samuel and Justine are faced with the seemingly insurmountable challenge of finding no less than 3 million Ghana cedis to pay for the crucial surgery to separate their sons. For a carpenter and his seamstress wife, this is a tall order, to say the least.
The cost is quite expensive and very relative. When we did our search, this kind of cost between 1.5 million to 4.6 million dollars out there. And when we did the local cost to see, it came around 3 million Ghana cedis, which is almost $500,000.
Today, I have come to Midia on the Accra and Nsawam Road. I want to learn more about the family of these special babies and what hopes, if any, they have of raising the money needed for their surgery.
Almost 3 weeks I'm not working again because of the situation. How the condition is now, I can't work because my pressure is too high. The time that this thing happened, I've already spent all my money.
Samuel and Justine's 2 older children, Richard and Rebecca, are 22 and 15 years old, respectively. They tell me of the trauma on seeing their conjoined brothers for the first time and their hope that help will come.
When I saw them for the first time, I think it was a crime my mom and my dad committed. But after my mom explained everything, I saw that it was normal.
In fact, the first moment my father told me this, actually I don't believe him until I went there. Then seeing the surrounding, in fact, it was a bit, I don't even know what to say. So we went to this one, Ridge. The first time that I entered, when I saw that they were in pain, and in fact, it was so sorrowful. It was so emotional.
I'm worried. I'm worried that maybe we might lose one, or maybe we might lose the two.
As they say they can do it, I know they can do it with the help of the Lord. Everything can be possible.
So you have faith that
I have faith in God.
Well. The whole community is baffled by the twins' predicament, but they offer their support and all speak fondly of the family, even their landlady.
My former seven back, and I'm behind down, so
I live with them as if they are my own children. They are good people. I even leave my keys with them whenever I travel.
That cause can't tell, but what me I know that maybe it will be a spiritual problem or nature.
We heard that they are twins, but they are joined together. We don't know what would have caused such a thing. I visited them at the hospital. The mother was crying. I told her not to worry. Everything is going to be all right. So she should cheer up.
The union of the Bansa twins has forged unity in this small community as they rise to support their own. Now, together, they hope the nation will unite in generosity as the race to find 3 million Ghana cedis for life-saving surgery begins. For Joy News, my name is Kujo Yankson.
And to some legal matters, despite a pending case at the High Court, the Fix the Country protesters today chalked a major legal victory. They had been indefinitely barred by the High Court from staging a street protest till COVID-19 restrictions on public gathering are lifted. The lawyers described this as unlawful and proceeded to seek the intervention of the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court has upheld their contention. Court correspondent Joseph Akable has the rest of the story.
Hashtag Fix the Country for weeks trended on social media as citizens made calls for various challenges they've identified either in their immediate environment or affecting the nation as a whole to be fixed. It then took a different form when some individuals indicated a desire to pour onto the streets on May 9 to press home the demand for better conditions of living. That May 9 protest did not happen as the Ghana Police Service on May 6 secured a court order barring the group from engaging in any street protest, with the order indicating that they are restrained until such a time that the appropriate authority lifts the restrictions on public gathering relative to COVID-19. The protesters took the view that that particular order was in error, as once they were not made parties to that particular application that led to a grant of the order, it meant that under law, the court should have granted the order to last for just 10 days. And so they brought the matter to the Supreme Court, asking that the Supreme Court intervenes and sets that particular order aside. The Attorney General's office disagreed and argued that that particular order, by operation of law, was to last for 10 days. And so despite the expression that suggests that it was indefinite, it was actually supposed to last 10 days. The AG further argued that it elapsed on May 16. And so as it stands now, there is no order in force requiring the intervention of the court to set it aside. At the court, in ruling on the matter, the decision read by Justice Yawapil did indicate that that order was in error, as the position of the law is that it should have been granted for 10 days. And so the court proceeded to set aside those portions of the order that bar the group from protesting until such a time that an appropriate authority lifts the restrictions on public gathering. Despite this victory, there is still a pending case at the High Court. This time around, it was filed by the Ghana Police Service on notice, meaning that the protesters have the opportunity to argue, and that particular case is also seeking to restrain them from embarking on a street protest. But that case has been adjourned to June 14 at the High Court, where the court is supposed to hear legal arguments as to why it should grant an order barring the group from engaging in a street protest. But for now, there is no order in force stopping the street protest. A pending case, however, remains outstanding. Reporting for Joy News from the Supreme Court, my name is Joseph Akable.
I'm back in the studio. My name is Anshe Ibrahim. Let's stick with legal matters, but stop at the National Labour Commission because the Commission is ordering striking senior staff members in universities to return to work. The senior staff of universities of Ghana have declared an indefinite strike over what it describes as its poor conditions of service. But the National Labour Commission says members of the association who provide essential services cannot embark on a strike action. The Commission also says the complaints of the association are currently being dealt with by the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission. We have more on that statement shortly, but in a desperate attempt by the University of Ghana to avert the impact of a strike action by Senior Staff Association of University of Ghana, the school says it will rely on interns, national service personnel, as well as class assistants to teach in its basic school. In a statement by the University of Ghana Basic School Board, the school says the strike is impacting negatively on the running of the school and is putting in place stopgap measures to deal with the biting impacts. My colleague Kukwa Sante has joined me via Zoom. He's been following this for Joy News, and with that statement, Kweku, first, what does the statement from the National Labour Commission say?
Right, Aisha. So the statement from the National Labour Commission says we refer to a letter of 8 June 2021 from the Ministry of Health on the above mentioned subject. They say that we are directing them to completely lay down their tools with immediate effect until further notice. The affected people are the hospitals and clinics, the fire service, the basic schools and departments. They say that the complainant notes that the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission is currently engaging in negotiations with the Senior Staff Association over the issue in dispute. And so they should call up their strike. They end by saying that the statement from the NLC ends by saying UOG is not only withdrawing the said directive to the essential service providers, but also to call up the ongoing strike immediately pursuant to Section 161 of the Act 651 and appear before the Commission tomorrow, Wednesday, 9 June 2021 at 3 p.m.
But for the University of Ghana, what are they doing to keep its basic school running and to minimize the impacts of the strike?
Right, Aisha. So according to this statement from the University of Ghana Basic School, it says, we see this latest development as very unfortunate because teachers in our basic schools have been brought in. We write to inform you that the school will run as we have it. The unlisted category of staff will hold the fort as we await the return of all teachers to the classrooms. 1, teachers under FUSAC. 2, class assistants. 3, national service personnel. And 4, student teachers on internship from the University of Education and the University of Ghana, Lagos.
Meanwhile, in the KNUST, the impact of the strike by the Senior Staff Association is having a toll on work at the university. Students at the University Primary School, for instance, have had to stay home as a result. Prince Apia is with Love FM. He has details from Kumasi. Prince, what was the situation at the KNUST Basic School?
So Aisha, at the KNUST Basic School, as at the time I went there, there was absolutely nobody there. The only people who were around were the security persons who were manning the gate of the school and taking care of cleaning activities on the school campus. So what has happened is that since last Friday, parents that trooped to the school with their awards realized that the strike had intensified. As a result, they were very frustrated and took their awards back home. So from Monday, no parent at all, no school children have decided, have tried to go to take their awards to school. Nobody is going to the school, so the place is very empty, I should say. And so that has been the situation. But for the junior high schools, they are in sessions and they are going to school. But for the primary school, it is really affecting them.
That's Prince Apia from Kumasi. Ofusua Samoa is Executive Secretary of the National Labour Commission, and he joins us via Zoom. Many thanks for your time. Has there been any engagement with the striking workers on their demands before this order directing them to resume work? Hello, Mr. Samoa. You're on Joy News Prime, and you can unmute for me.
Hello, yes.
There's been an engagement between the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission, the Ministry of Education, and the striking workers. And as I talk to you now, about 3 of the issues out of the 5 issues have been resolved, leaving about 2. And tomorrow, engagement is going on. Even tomorrow at 2 o'clock, Fair Wages and Salaries are meeting them again in another scheduled meeting. So what's the engagement? That is why the National Labour Commission has come in, because when you look at our law section 161 of the law, refers to the cooling off period, that when negotiations are going on, mediation or arbitration in the way of resolving disputes between parties, parties are not to engage in lockout, strikes, or any form of action that will bring undue influence, threats, or otherwise to the other party. So whilst negotiations are going on, meetings have been held, other meetings have been scheduled to be held to resolve the problem. It is unfortunate that one party will decide to go on strike, especially when in the course of negotiation, some of the issues have been resolved. Then the essential service providers within the association, who are otherwise precluded at all material times, right, from engaging in any form of strike, are now being called upon to join the strike when negotiations have begun. That is an unfortunate situation, because when you refer to Section 162 of the Labour Act, which refers to the essential services providers, you know, they must try to resolve any dispute that arises within 3 days. Should it break down within 24 hours, we must refer the dispute to the Commission, and the Commission shall, within 3 days, set up a compulsory arbitration panel to look at it. In any case, these essential service workers belonging to the association were not part of the strike, so that if they feel that the negotiation has broken down between members of the association or their leadership who are otherwise engaged by the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission, it is for them to report to the Commission within 24 hours. But rather, instead of reporting to the Commission that negotiations are broken down, they rather called on the essential service providers to join the strike. But, you know, the Commission, with the powers that we have descended and invited them to the Commission tomorrow at 3 p.m. to have the matter settled. But in the meantime, they have been advised to call on the strike.
Mr. Samoa, how do you react to those who say the NLC is no more an impartial arbiter because, I mean, you are seen to always side with government, disregarding the concerns of workers?
Where is government in this case? Where is the government in this case? These are workers who are saying that their conditions of services are bad. The only institution which is empowered by law to negotiate better conditions of services for workers, especially in the government departments, is the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission, right? In this case, the Senior Staff Association are government workers, so they will have to engage with the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission, which is ongoing. The Senior Staff Association of the universities come under the Ministry of Education, and the Ministry of Education is also part of the ongoing negotiations. 3 of the problems that they have tabled, 3 of the problems they have tabled out of the 5 have been resolved. That is the information we have, leaving 2. Now, with the 2 that is left, they met, days before, and tomorrow, even at 2 o'clock, there is another meeting, right? Now, one party to the 3 parties meeting decides to declare a strike. In the declaration of a strike, they did not stop there, but further called upon another group, right, within the bigger group who are engaged in essential services to join them. Now, let us note that when the strike began, they themselves, members of the union, saw that yes, we all belong to the same union, we are going on strike because we have bad conditions of service. However, even though you are part of us, because of the services you provide, you continue to go to work. That is the staff of the anatomy department, the fire service, and other health providers. Why did they not join them, or they allow their members to join them when the strike began, they knew that it was not permissible under the law. And why would you go on strike at a time when the problems are being solved amongst yourself? Where does government come in? We as Labour Commission have not descended into the arena of conflict because they were negotiating. And negotiation is the primary step for dispute resolution when the commission or labor issues are involved. That is why we sat back. We have only come because there is an infringement on the law where essential services providers have been encouraged or have been directed to join the strike. So what we are doing is that we are calling, that is why we are not telling them that go back to work because your conditions are better and you should be told there's no need for negotiation. But we are saying that go back to work. The commission is ready to assist you to help resolve the matter. If the two of you have been unable to resolve through your negotiation, come before the commission tomorrow, Wednesday, at 3 p.m. for the commission to assist. The meeting was fixed for 3 p.m. for a strategic reason. And that is because we are aware that between them, the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission and the senior staff, they have a meeting scheduled for tomorrow, 2 p.m. at the offices of the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission to continue with the negotiations they have already begun. Right? You see? So so we are like more or less a backup or, ready to step in if you are unable to resolve.
So in your letter, Mr. Samoa, you said the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission is dealing with the concerns, and you are in fact confirming it now here. Are you aware of the details?
That is what I'm saying, that we are aware, because the letter has been written to us by the Fair Wages and the Minister, copied to them, and they have not disputed it. That 3 out of the 5 issues we tabled have been resolved. They have not commented, they have not disputed it. Perhaps tomorrow, if they appear before the commission, if they think otherwise, or that is not the case, they will present it before the commission. I am not in the position to say whether it is the truth or not. But what I'm saying is that by law, during the period of negotiation, that is what I refer to under Section 161 of the law, which is the cool-off period. One party cannot engage in a strike or the other engage in a lockout, wearing of red armbands or any form of threat or undue influence on the other party to agree to your demands. You understand?
Okay.
Then 2, I've gone to Section 162, which precludes providers of essential service from joining a strike. In this case, as the case under review, negotiations are going on, right? So Section 161 of the law is applicable, which says that you should not go on strike or the other party engage the lockout. And now we have one party going on strike. We go to 162. Essential service providers should not go on strike, and now they have been invited to go on strike. And the Labour Commission was established by the law to see to regulate some of these things.
So as you meet leadership of the Senior Staff Association tomorrow, what should we expect from that meeting?
We are meeting the Senior Staff Association, the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission, the Ministry of Education, and the Ministry of Employment and Labour Relations. All the parties have been invited so that the commission will look at issues that are still outstanding that the parties have been unable to resolve and assist them to resolve it.
I'm grateful for your time. Ofosua Samoa is Executive Secretary of the National Labour Commission. Now, Assin North MP Joe Jache is yet to be served a week after a High Court in Cape Coast ordered his service, notifying him of his lawyer's withdrawal from the case. Counsel for the MP, Abraham Amaleba, wrote to the court indicating his withdrawal from the case. Based on that, the MP Joe Kwasin is expected to search for a lawyer to represent him after he has been served, so he would be represented in court. But it turned out that the express mail service relied on under the facilitation of Mr. Abraham Amaleba failed to carry out the court's order. Richard Kwejonyaku was in court for Joy News.
In court on Tuesday, Mr. Amaleba, who was earlier tasked by the court to facilitate the service of the MP for Aseno, told the presiding judge, Justice Kwesi Boakye, the express mail service, EMS, that was used by the bailiff to serve the MP, suffered some setbacks And as a result, the bailiff in Accra that was supposed to deliver the notice of service to the MP has been unable to do so. Mr. Amaliba consequently hauled the representative of the EMS to the court for him to explain why he was unable to effect the service. In the course of the interrogation of the EMS official, the presiding judge announced to the court that the MP has petitioned the Chief Justice to intervene, and the court would have to adjourn proceedings to wait on the directions by the Chief Justice on allegations of bias that has been raised by the MP against the judge in the petition. Representative of the petitioner, Richard Techimensa, says the MP and his lawyer could have saved them the back and forth if they want fairness and justice to take its course.
I find it a bit weird in the sense that it was the first respondent, Mr. James Jechikwesin, who engaged the services of lawyer Abraham Amaliba. So if he wants to withdraw from the case, he cannot tell the whole world that he has not informed the very person who engaged his services as a lawyer that he needs to be served before the court can go on and hear his motion with respect to he seeking to withdraw from the case. It is his right, and for me, as a layman, there's no way he can be forced to represent the first respondent in court. We have all been in court since this case started, and what they are accusing the judge of, I have never heard the judge making such pronouncement in court. Mr. Abraham Amaliba has not been able to even give or name one person who heard that statement. So it is just a trumped-up charge against the judge.
The court consequently adjourned the matter to the 28th of June, where they believe by that time the Chief Justice would have decided what ought to be done relative to the petition brought before him by the Assin North MP, George Achikwesin. From the Cape Coast High Court, my name is Richard Kwejonya for Joy News.
And back here in Accra, in Parliament's Appointments Committee has decided to recommend Andrews Ejapamesa for approval as Deputy Energy Minister after it deferred a decision on that yesterday. Minority MPs had expressed concerns Mr. Mesa's insistence that the PDS ECG deal was not abrogated on fraudulent grounds contrary to the position of the Energy Ministry is untenable. He also raised concerns Mr. Mesa's role as Director of TG Solutions, which as part of the PDS consortium amounts to conflict of interest because he did not declare his interest when Parliament approved the deal. Following further deliberations and consultations, minority MPs on the committee have withdrawn their concerns and backed his approval. Boko Central MPs Mahama Yarega says that minority has decided they are not weightier issues enough to withhold him from taking up the position.
Just concluded deliberations, and I think that the issues that we in the minority had issues with him because a company in which he is a director and secretary happens to be a partner in the what's it called, PDS, firm. So when we're debating the issue in Parliament, I was not there, but we were told, and he didn't deny it, that he argued in favor of the passage of the contract without indicating that he is a director in one of the companies that was a partner in the PDS company. So our position as a minority was that that's a clear case of conflict of interest, which he ought to have disclosed, which he did not disclose. So that was what we were holding him on. But then we went and then we had some further deliberations. Those of us who are lawyers looked at Article 104, Clause 5 of the Constitution, which I think is the operating clause that deals with this matter. And what that clause says is that a person who is a partner in a firm which is entering into a contract with the state, and that contract is a subject of consideration by Parliament, must declare his status and must not take part in the voting. Okay? Must not take part in the voting. Now, we came to a conclusion as a minority that he is a director. He is not a shareholder. Is that okay? He is a secretary. He is not a shareholder. But we still felt that he should have disclosed that interest. But then we also came to a conclusion that we in the minority walked out. We were not there when the voting took place.
Ms. Araga says the Appointments Committee is not the appropriate forum to resolve the issue of conflict of interest.
So on the basis of those technicalities, some of the issues, some of the people who were holding issues with his approval came to a conclusion that the proper forum to raise this issue is Privileges Committee. Is that okay? Not at Appointments Committee. It's Privileges Committee so that the Speaker can refer it to the Privileges Committee. I mean, proper forum to raise it is on the floor of the House so that the matter is referred to Privileges Committee to be investigated. And if it is established by Privileges Committee that indeed there was a breach of clause 104(5), then you can now apply the conclusions of the Privileges Committee at the Appointments Committee. I hope you see how technical the whole process is.
The Africa Growth and Opportunity Act, AGWA, that gives Ghanaian and other African exporters access to the American market has been extended to 2025. We have details of this shortly when Charles Aite brings you the second part of business.
In business, the Africa Growth and Opportunity Act, AGWA, that gives Ghanaian and other African exporters access to the American market has been extended to 2025. Now, the American ambassador to Ghana, Stephanie Sullivan, disclosed this to Joy Business, and the reason for the renewal and extension, according to her, is due to the high demand for Ghanaian goods and also the resolve by the U.S. government to grant Ghanaian exporters some certainty in their exports to the U.S. She spoke to me early on.
There's another facility that came as a consequence of the visit of then Secretary of Commerce Wilbur Ross, July 2018. It's a $300 million loan facility for small, medium enterprises for loan guarantees to import U.S. products and services that will help them go maybe from good to great. Because all the big companies, think about the tech companies, any company you've heard of started somewhere. And so, they say a mighty oak grows from a single acorn. Exactly. And so it's really important to nurture the entrepreneurs. And I know that the government of Ghana is looking at additional ways to make credit available to help boost the private sector, which is very key.
Well, with the private sector comes the potential of exports, and under exports, we do know that the Africa Growth Opportunity Act, AGWA, has also seen so many businesses upscale in their export lines. Help me understand the state of AGWA as we speak now.
Well, AGOA is now in force in the United States into 2025. So entrepreneurs don't have to worry, will AGOA be renewed from year to year. So that gives us certain predictability and certainty. There are about 1,800 different products that can be exported from Ghana duty-free into the United States. Some of these are in the agriculture sector, some of them are in the textile sector. Petroleum is a big beneficiary of AGOA as well. So again, through the West Africa Trade Hub, people can access resources that will help them better understand how to participate in AGOA.
In 2019, I was together with the Chamber of Commerce in New York for the AGOA program, and I interacted with some of the stakeholders there. And one of the main concerns was that most of the African goods that often come on do not meet the FDA standard, hence most of them being rejected. And it baffles my mind, because even though the opportunities are there, most of these entrepreneurs shortfall of the requirement to meet the world market. How is this informing you?
Well, there are a couple of things. One is the phytosanitary requirements are very clear, and we've done some capacity building and working with folks to meet those standards. The other area is packaging. And again, since 20 years ago, I've seen an incredible leap in the professionalism and quality control of the products that are available here, and that could very well be exported. There's a huge appetite for products from places like Ghana. And so it may have been a tough year for a lot of people just trying to scrape by, but we're coming out to the light at the end of the tunnel, and my team and I are very interested in working to encourage entrepreneurship and private sector businesses here in Ghana.
Now, the Association of Oil Marketing Companies says that its members cannot be blamed for the increase in fuel prices. Of course, they're stating that the prices are adjusted anytime there is a change on the international market. According to its chief executive, Kweku Ajimandia, at best, the OMCs can be sensitive to consumers anytime there is an upward adjustment in the petroleum product.
We are not a charity organization to begin with. We are a business. And you must appreciate the fact that the first time when the prices for the taxes were increased, we had an equal measure of price increase. The next window, the prices were going up in the world market. We didn't do anything. We were quiet because we were sensitive to the issue of the fact that, 4 weeks running and you're going to increase the price too much on the consumers. So we swallowed it. Now, but remember, we cannot continue swallowing as we move along. At some point, we may have to come back again and increase the price. As of now, our cedi-dollar relationship is fine. We don't have problems with that. The only thing we can make it go up is the international price, which goes up. Then obviously we have to respond. But we are very sensitive to consumers' interest because the price increase in fuel is very inflationary. So we really don't want to get there. If gradually it's coming down, you will not feel it. Okay. It has been an issue of trading. Okay. Because you may have to go back and buy. And if your stock has not finished, you can price lower, you lose. Okay. So you have to go and get a new one. But be as it may, but if it's consistently going down, given the deregulation environment, the price will go down. We witness that. I can show you graphs.
At this juncture, we bring you a summary of business news around the world. And that's it for business. Sport is up next. To stay.
Thank you for staying with us. Gary Alsmith here with the second batch of the sport. And after a disastrous start to the second round of the Ghana Premier League, Legon Cities appear on course to avoid demotion in their debut season. The Royals are 9th on the log with 38 points after 28 games. Here's a Joy Sports report.
The Ghana Premier League debutant had lost just once and secured 3 wins in their games prior to the clash with struggling Inter-Allies in a Week 21 clash. They secured a hard-fought 1-0 win, courtesy a strike in the 57th minute of an enthralling tie.
Ayana's delivery, this is the goal! Sefas Doku! Wow! Legon Cities are up by 1-0. Free kick delivered by Anaya. It didn't look troublesome, but somewhere
getting on top of over the goalkeeper there is almost like a think of a header. Yep. Over the heads of the goalkeeper.
With 6 games to spare, head coach Bashir Hayford is confident Legon Cities will avoid the drop in their debut season. Legon Cities' next assignment is a game against Kaela United at Enyinase on Sunday.
Even when we were at the 13th position, we knew we were not going. And now at the 9th, we are still staying there. And then those are behind us. We have about 4-5 points ahead of them. So by the time
23 countries, including Ghana, will compete at the SEB Arena in Vilnius, Lithuania, for this year's Billie Jean King Cup. Early last week, the Ghana Tennis Federation denied reports of a provisional set of 5 female tennis players presented to the ITF as Ghana's reps for the games. A group of tennis players are currently in a non-residential training camp at the Accra Stadium. Michelle Queno visited the team and has this report.
The Billie Jean King Cup, formerly known as the Fed Cup, is the premier international team competition in women's tennis. Ghana will compete in the Europe-Africa Zone 3 group scheduled from 15 June to 19 June 2021 and are in Pot 3 alongside Kenya, Iceland, Zimbabwe, Nigeria, Rwanda, Namibia, Albania, Uganda, Botswana and Azerbaijan. Coach for the side, Albert Arthur, indicates that the shortlisted players currently undergoing training are enthusiastic and exhibiting promise on the court.
Currently, we are in a very good form to perform. So all the players that I have and then we're working together with are in their current peak performance.
4 out of the 5 shortlisted players will have their names submitted to the ITF as Ghana's representatives to Lithuania, with the ITF setting a deadline of 12 June for submission. Albert Arthur believes he is close to finding his final team.
With this selection, we are basing our thing on the current peak performance. You know, when we say current peak performance, like if the players are at their peak of performing their best. So this is what we are looking at. And right now, what I have here, we have that getting closer, if not closer, we're closer to that.
Anders Cruikshank, Grace Tomega, Nashika Macaulay, and Na Anyema Macaulay are 4 of the 5 shortlisted, and all are confident that their output in practice will earn them spots on the final team.
Training has been good. I've seen a lot of improvement in my game in the span of 3 or 4 weeks, and my game has improved. I'm able to keep up with the girls, so I'm very confident that I'll be able to make the qualifiers.
Like, I'm playing good. I'm playing really well, but like, I don't really know, but I'm confident that maybe. I'm very confident with this. I've played a lot of tournaments, but this is different for me because it's my first senior tournament, even though I'm still young. But I feel like with my age and how I feel like I'm playing, I'm pretty confident.
Right, and finally, in the game between the Black Stars away against Morocco, just before coming in, it was the Moroccans taking the lead by a 1-0. Hakim Ziyech of Chelsea came in, swung a ball in, and then a mistake from Razak Abalora, the keeper of Ghana, ensured that the Moroccans scored. So 91 minutes played in that game, and it should be ending soon. I'm Gary Alsmith. That's the sport for now. Thank you for your time.
We draw the curtains on Joy News Prime. For more news, log on to myjoyonline.com. We have all the updates of the developing story. Stay tuned on the Joy News channel. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. Enjoy the rest of our programs.
Bye.